Hello everyone, and welcome to Yoshi 1 Kenobi's Humans Tribal Deck for MTG Arena Standard 2021. So for this video, I'm playing in Standard 2021, and I looked at the archetype of humans, which has been explored during the Ikoria Standard. But we've gotten some fun new toys to play with Core Set 2021, and we've lost very little from last year of cards that went away. So I think this is a fairly good deck to pick up. It has a good matchup against mono green in particular, because we have a lot of kill spells that destroy creatures with power 4 or greater. It's also good against Urros because we have a lot of ways to exile cards in the graveyard. So I think it's fairly well positioned right now as an aggressive deck. It also plays slightly bigger creatures than red deck wins, so we have a decent matchup there. So let's see what the list plays. The list is centered around General Kudro of Drannith. So it's the Elder Human Soldier, and it's a 3/3 for 3, which gives other humans +1/+1. Fairly good to begin with. Whenever Kudro or another human enters the battlefield under your control, you get to exile a card from an opponent's graveyard. Very good for exiling Urros, as you just need to play your strategy, and as you're playing cards from your deck, you're exiling stuff. You also have the ability to pay to sacrifice 2 humans to destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. It's a nice little trick that you can play and a bonus that's added on to Kudro. Next, we have General's Enforcer, which is a 2-mana, 2/3 human. And legendary humans you control have indestructible, so that gives indestructible to our General Kudro. Also gives indestructible to Taranika, the Akroan Veteran. Also, we can play 4 mana to exile a card from a graveyard. If it was a creature, we create another human. Another tool to exile those pesky Urros or Kroxas from our opponent's graveyards. So what does our human lineup look like? Well, we're playing Giant Killers and Whisper Squad. Whisper Squad because we're playing some Human Lords in the General Kudros. We're also playing a pair of Glorious Anthems, which give everything +1/+1. So having a swarm of small humans is very desirable. We're also playing Giant Killers because green decks are very, very prominent in the metagame. Whether it's green-blue adventure, green-blue-red adventure, just green. And they all play creatures with power 4 or greater. So this is a removal spell that turns into human for 1 that has a positive ability attached to it. Again, very good card, doing good stuff. Then we have Seasoned Hallowblade in our 2-drop, a new addition from M21, which is the human version of Adanto Vanguard, where you discard a card to tap it and it gains indestructible. Fairly resilient to those control matchups, and with General Enforcer it gives us a fair bit of indestructibility in the deck. We're playing 3 copies of Kitesail Freebooter. It's hand control, it's a flyer, it's a human. It's played in modern humans, so what's not to like? Honestly, I don't like that card that much, which is why I'm only playing 3 copies, but it's fairly good. Then we're playing 4 Dire Tactics, one of the other reasons to play humans. It's a 2-mana removal spell that basically says exile target creature while you have a human in play. Otherwise, you lose life equal to the creature's toughness, which can be a fairly big blow. But exiling in a 2-mana instant, prime quality removal spell. We're also playing 2 copies of Banishing Light as a catch-all answer, since we'll be playing this deck in best of 1, which is the only way to play Standard 2021. Can deal with those pesky lucky clovers or big threats when you run out of other answers. Playing 2 copies of Boss Recat because it's a Planeswalker in our colors. It's cheap, it goes with our aggressive strategy, and if we get to Ultimate, we will win the game with our swarm of creatures. Then, on the 3-drop spot, we're playing 3 copies of Taranika, the Akroan Veteran. It's a 3/3 vigilance, and when it attacks, it untaps the target creature and it becomes 4/4 indestructible. Combos really nicely with General Enforcer because it gives Taranika indestructible. So Taranika becomes an indestructible vigilant creature that can attack with the Enforcer and give the Enforcer indestructible and essentially vigilance as well, which means that you get a free attack for 7 basically. It also goes well with a bunch of the weaker creatures, like Kitesail Freebooter becomes a 4-powered attacker. So Taranika fits nicely in the 3-drop slot as a human. In terms of lands, we can play the best 2 castles, Castle Lockwayne, Castle Arvindale. We're slightly higher on the plains count because we want those glorious anthems, those Basri and Taranika, to hit the double white on time. And that's a deck tech for Standard 2021 Humans Tribal on MTG Arena. Now let's see it in action with some games. We are playing Humans Tribal on MTG Arena Standard 2021 against Doem Zulu. This is a very awkward and fairly bad hand. Let's mulligan this one. This is much better. We'll throw a Kudro to the graveyard. Opponent plays a Lovestruck Beast. I guess we have to keep our Giant Killer. Second Giant Killer. Well, against mono green is going to be fairly useful. Lovestruck Beast. Here comes the big guns. Let's just wipe it out. Garruk Unleashed. Garruk will boost the token. We will kind of want a Kitesail Freebooter here. That is more mana efficient to Kudro Giant Killer. Yeah, let's go with the mana efficient play. Kudro Giant Killer. Pass the turn. Primal Mate is what I was afraid of. Opponent went after the Giant Killer. Pretty sure that's a bad idea. Yes, we will take 6. 8. Go down to 6. Kitesail Freebooter. Let's see what you've got. Exile the Primal Might, Elder Gargaroth, Yorvo, Castle Garenbrig. All good stuff that I did not want to see in my opponent's hand. 3 to Garruk. You must go down.
Go away.
Here comes the Elder Gargaroth. Opponent pluses on the token.
They're a stampede of one.
That deck has no reach, so what we're going to do is we're going to kill the Elder Gargaroth with the Giant Killer to be mana effective. We will attack Garruk to kill it. And then we are going to win the game. I really want to keep blockers up to prevent that thing from killing me, but I think for this one turn I'll do an exception and I'll play Basri. Mostly because it allows me to get some damage in and kill Kudro kill Garruk just with Kudro. I'll pass the turn back. The Giant Killer holding the fort. Here comes Yorvo. Opponent will draw a card from the Bonder's Enclave. Alright. Let's play the Glorious Anthem. Let's boost our Kitesail Freebooter. And we will attack you for 4 in the air. Let the aerial assault begin. We still have Dire Tactics and the Giant Killer trigger. Great Henge. Great Henge. Great Henge is fine. Gemrazor to Yorvo. She'll blow up our Glorious Anthem. That's fine. I don't think it triggers a Great Henge. You can kill our Glorious Anthem. And now we have a prime target for a Dire Tactic. You are exiled. Giant Killer will remain back.
My sand will protect you.
Hit you for a 7? Opponent jumps. Let us draw a card. Really, what am I going to do with 2 life that I can't do with 1? It's our turn. Ultimate Bossery.
This is the yield.
Then we go Whisper Squad.
Well, hunt's over.
Land. Activate Whisper Squad. Activate Whisper Squad. Go to combat. Boss triggers. And that is how we do it. How do you beat big monsters with the teamwork of humans? And giant killers. They also help. We are playing Humans Tribal on MTG Arena Standard 2021 against Lejo's Drive. That's a pretty good hand. We have Aggression, we have General Enforcers. All we're missing is the General. The actual General. Not the Enforcer of the General. If we look very closely, you can see General Kudro in the background. Or some white bearded guy with a bunch of green things. Green metals. Opponent is playing a lot of ramp. Let's find out what this is about with our Kitesail Freebooter. Okay. So we have one of these Simic Uros player. Opponent's on 4 land. Thankfully there will be no giant Gargaroth this turn. Uro will enter the battlefield. Which means our plan is now go wide. This is going to be the best shot we'll get at the second freebooter. Innkeeper, not what we wanted to see. Let's play the Enforcer and swing with all we've got. Which right now is a little disappointing. Elder Gargaroth enters. Merfolk Secret Keeper, mills for 4. which is going to force our hand to exile Uro and make a 1/1. We'll pass the turn. Opponent plays Edgewall Innkeeper. Edgewall Innkeeper. Merfolk Secret Keeper. Draw 2. Simic Adventures. The deck of choice for the format. This opponent has a Brazen Borrower. If we block with everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. If our opponent blows away a General Enforcer, we still have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll kill the Elder Gargaroth, regardless of what you bounce. We'll take a severe beating doing so. That's not that bad. Both General Enforcers will bite the dust. It's not a good trade. Especially now that we freed the way for Uro. Brazen Borers is up, and now we draw the Dire Tactic. Wish you would have had that last turn. Alright, well, keep the pressure up. Victory, opponent. You can get rid of our token. Our move is going to be Whisper Squad, Whisper Squad, Whisper Squad. Never mind, our move is going to be Dire Tactic on the Torn Mammoth. Go away, Torn Mammoth. I'll bring in a bunch more Whisper. Scry. Not what we want. Cast a Logbane. Something. Swing. Hit you for 4. Let's just activate the Whisper Squad. Let's keep the Hallowblade until we have some way to defend it. Opponent will draw 2 off of the unfair Edgewall Innkeepers. Opponent will mill themselves for 4, draw 2 cards, and follow up with an Uro. Somehow I feel that what our opponent's doing is slightly better than summoning Whisper Squad. You got it. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. But still 5 cards, 4 cards in hand. Our draw better be good. Glorious Anthem is decent. Still don't have a great attack. If we attack with everything, opponent blocks with Uro. Get in for 2, I guess. think this is mostly unwinnable. Both player mill 3, cultivate. Well, if our opponent only has land stuff, we might still have a shot. I mean, General Kudro would do it. The opponent is flooding quite heavily. Yeah, at this point our opponent might just mill themselves out. And we draw Kudro. Our opponent does not have another Uro in the graveyard. So you get to Kudro. First things first. That thing. Exile up to 2 target cards from graveyard for each creature. Return target creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. Alright, so Elder Gargarot is a pain. Brazen Borrower is also a pain, but Elder Gargarot is worse. Move to combat. Hit ya. Opponent takes 3. You'll activate Kudro, kill off Uro, sacrificing a pair of Whisper Squads. Then we'll get rid of Uro. Then we'll pass the turn back. We'll exile 2 creatures from our graveyard. The generals. And suddenly, we're almost in a not dead shape. That is good. General Enforcer. One's thinking about brazen borrowing something here. Sublime Epiphany. Alright, well, if you're going to be playing it that way, then we will. Edgeline Keeper's fine. Secret Keepers. I think Brazen Borrower is what I want to take out. Because our opponent's running low on cards. We'll pressure our opponent, kill off his Secret Keeper, and ping you for 3. And we'll pass the turn. One brings back the Secret Keeper. Opponent mills themselves for 4, which I disapprove of, because their opponent only has 12 cards left. Casting Uro from the graveyard makes that 11. Fortunately, we don't have any trick right now. Opponent casts the Secret Keeper, going down to 9 cards in the deck. I think we're playing to mill our opponent now. Wolfwillow Haven. Wolfwillow Haven. So our opponent's limited in the ability to play creatures. We'll draw 1 off of Castle Lockbane. Hey, Semi-useless card. Draw one off Castle Logvein. Second General Kudro. Alright. Sure, there are usages for that. And we will pass the turn. General Kudro gets bounced back. Opponent draws more cards. I don't think our opponent has done the deck check. Secret Keeper. The opponent definitely didn't do a deck check. Never mind. Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, we don't have an answer for that. And that's how we lose the game to a Thassa's Oracle. Oh, it's close. Interesting one. We are playing Humans Tribal on MTG Arena Standard 2021 against GeoShark. We have it okay hand as long as we draw planes. We are playing against Mono Red. We'll start with our tap land. Take a beating from the Pyramid Hat Goblin. Play a General Enforcer. It has 3 toughness and doesn't get killed by a Bone Crusher Giant Stomp. Which your opponent was really considering playing there. Truly want to get that stomped. All the tempo plays pretty good. Oh, so Stomp's the only thing your opponent has. That is interesting. These are not really the options I want. But I'll play the Hallowblade anyways. Swing for 2. The best defense is a good offense. I'll play the Hallowblade. We'll pass the turn. You'll protect our Hallowblade. The freebooter, I think. I suspect your opponent has the Stomp, although maybe it was the Shock that our opponent was holding. So I kind of want the Giant Killer to deal with the Giant. Bone Crusher one, that is. Glorious Anthem is a nice finisher type of card. Well, if our opponent's starved, we don't need the Giant Killer. And now we're in the odd spot where we absolutely need to draw a white mana source. Or we keep on trading a card that we can't play for a shock. That 3 shocks? 3 shocks. It's not like we could play our cards anyways. This is turning out to be an odd game where we're both starved on mana and playing with very limited resources. Phoenix of Ash. That's not fun. We'll take 2 from the Phoenix. We draw a Giant Killer. We attack with the Enforcer. Opponent will block and target the Hallowblade. Nope, just take it. Alright, we'll cast our Giant Killer. We'll pass the turn. Castle Emberit is troublesome. One attacks with both creatures. We will let that go through. Not afraid of taking 5. Slightly afraid of that Embercleave, I must say. Embercleave the Phoenix, we will take 7. Problem with 7 is that our opponent can Castle Emberit or just pump the Phoenix next turn. Ah, Kudro. Kudro is really nice. But it's not good enough. That's when being short on mana comes to bite us. I think our only play is to attack with these dudes. Pass the turn, wait for combat, and tap the Phoenix. Because otherwise we just lose to the Phoenix. But that means that our opponent gets to play their 4 mana. Then we're kind of stuck in this loop where we need to tap the Phoenix, otherwise we lose. Yeah, I'll take 1. I'm not afraid of taking 1. You probably should hold that back, opponent. Oh, we're dead to removal on our giant killer, so I guess we go for the kill? Yeah, there's no way to dodge like a shock or something like that. So, all in. Exiling a shock because we have to. Hit you for lethal? You must have a trick. Or not. Alright. We barely got there. Getting a clutch victory on the dot before we lose to the Phoenix of Ash. We are playing Humans Tribal on MTG Arena Standard 2021 against AZ6. Which is pretty good on the 6-sided die, not so good on the D20. This is a slow hand, but we will keep it. We have a temple, hopefully we can scry into some action on turn 2. Scry that to the bottom. If we draw action, we'll play our Swamp. Otherwise, we'll play the Castle Arvindale. We're playing against red-blue spells. Actually, we can play Temple of Silence, it's even better. Nope, we have our quota of lands. Let's keep this. Sprite Dragon is going to be prime target for a giant killer once it reaches maturity. Let's banish that riddle form. We don't want to take too much airborne damage. That's alright. You still get to exile your riddle form. Transforming it into a creature does not make it a non-permanent. Alright. Well, let's temple. Yeah, we'll keep the planes just so we can double spell next turn. Have our Castle Arvindale at the ready. Let's play Taranika, the Akroan Veteran. Mostly because we didn't care as much about the Akroan Veteran as we do about the General of Drannith. Now we'll play the Enforcer if the opponent tries to counter. Oh, opponent has no counter spell. Based on tempo swing, so I'll also cast General Kudro of Drannith. We'll exile Lofty Denial, doesn't really matter, and General Kudro is now indestructible. Opponent swings for 3. We take it. We'll play Castle Arvindale. And we'll attack with both our creatures. If opponent pumps the Sprite Dragon, we will kill it. Otherwise, we'll make it token. Claim the Firstborn. You may have the General Enforcer, but you may not have the Sprite Dragon. I'll take 2. Now I have enough to cast our Giant Killer. Might as well cast it now. Exiling, claim the Firstborn. We'll leave the creature there for Kudro, and opponent sees that our army of humans is just too strong for those puny Sprite Dragons, as we take down the game. We are playing Humans Tribal on MTG Arena Standard 2021 against ROB Rob. Have an okay hand. Get a Temple of Silence into double Whisper Squads into Kudro. On the draw might be a little slow. Opponent is playing Cycling. Basri is interesting. Let's keep Basri. Opponent plays a Valiant Rescuer. We play a pair of Whisper Squads and pass the turn back. Opponent is starting with a Tokenation. Let's go with Kudro. And exile a card from opponent's graveyard. That exiling ability is going to turn out to be quite useful in this matchup. So opponent could trade their board for a pair of Whisper Squads. Otherwise they'll let some of the damage go through. That's fine. 2 tokens for a Whisper Squad. Because we plan on keeping in coming. Opponent now has a pair of Valiant Rescuers, summoning tons of humans. Countless humans. No blocks. Alright, you get your 3 points of damage in. Ugh. That I didn't really want to draw. Let's go for an Enforcer. Remove the Flourishing Fox. Let's attack with a Whisper Squad. I'll trade for 2 tokens. That Whisper Squad had a much lower value because we were holding a third copy of Whisper Squad. Opponent keeps on cycling, making more tokens. Flourishing Fox, the actually dangerous card. Glory Phantom is nice. So here we have two options. We can either Whisper Squad our last copy and Season Hallowblade to increase the size of our board, or we get to Bossery. I think I like Bosserying here. Opponent makes more tokens.
My faith will not be eroded by the sands of treachery.
Let's grow the General's Enforcer. Our opponent's not playing much removal other than fighting and Solar Flare. And it's likely their opponent forgot that Kudro is indestructible. Thanks to our General's Enforcer. You can also start exiling creatures from opponent graveyard to summon small humans. Alright, that's one way to deal with it. Giant Killer's nice. Let's go for the Hallowblade Whisper Squad play. And as odd as it sounds, I think we've got a late game here. So those Valiant Rescuers are starting to stack up. This is that Flourishing Fox, growing and growing. Whisper Squad, activate! Bring in the last copy. Exiling, startling development. Making sure you don't have Solar Flare power. Fast Archer, Temple of Silence. We do not necessarily want more mana. Alright, now I'll just want to activate the General Enforcer or keep the Giant Killer to kill off the Flourishing Fox, as our opponent will cycle into a whole bunch more humans. Our opponent has more humans than the humans deck, which is disappointing. But eventually our opponent will run out of cycling cards and have all lands in hand. All at 6 humans a turn, it's only a question of time until our opponent finds enough to just kill us by being too wide. Opponent does not attack, so we will... We'll use General's Enforcer. Exiling Flourishing Fox. We can make tokens too. Exiling Footfall Crater. Back to us. Season Hallowblade. So we will Giant Killer that Flourishing Fox. Then we'll play another Season Hallowblade. Exiling Flourishing Fox. And we will pass the turn back. Opponent has 19 creatures. And we're at 17 life, and we have 7 blockers. So opponent can hit us for 12. With 3 cycling in the graveyard. So if our opponent has 1 cycling call in the solar flare, we'll actually lose here. Do you have it? Also, our opponent could just attack with 16 tokens. We kill off 7 and take 9. I think our opponent has a solar flare. Well, we'll make the appropriate blocks. And we will take 12. Oh, also that sends a whole bunch of cycling cards in the graveyard. So we are dead to solar flare. As usual in this matchup. You just had too many humans. Too many humans. They're just that good. It's better when they're on our side of the battlefield. Oh well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking the Yoshi icon at the right of your screen. It doesn't cost you any mana, and it greatly helps to support this channel and keep the awesome videos coming.